already off the table.
Yeah, no Trundle for Lourlo. He's had some of his best games on that, along with Irelia. Alawi ban makes sense. Azir Man is great against FeniX because he is a monster on that champion.
And it's actually been identical bans so far. We'll see if anything else gets dropped. No, Bard gets added. That was a Nidalee ban for NRG before.
Yeah.
And before, Liquid had banned Sivir and instead banned Vladimir away. So Nidalee and Sivir allowed, Vladimir and Bard gone.
Yeah, and that is really to just try and target Team Liquid's long-range initiation they were able to get from the duo lane. Obviously, Ashe is still available, but it's way less dangerous without a Bard, because at least with an Ashe, there becomes a point in the game where the arrows aren't as effective when you can get McHale's or QSS's on people. Those items don't work on the Bard ultimate, so the Bard ultimate stays good for the entire game, and NRG really wanted to get that long-range initiation off the board.
Well, interestingly, we're seeing different prioritizations and champions here. Nidalee first picked here for Santorin, and he's definitely great at the champion, but it was kind of funny watching the, I think it was C9 TSM set, where Rek'Sai was actually considered more important, and Cloud9 first picking for Meteos, letting Svenskeren play Nidalee whenever he wanted, and now we're seeing Nidalee first pick, Rek'Sai left up, and I just find it interesting.
Yeah, I think it's super interesting. Different junglers and different teams either want the vision control and the tankiness of the Rek'Sai, or they want the ability of the Nidalee to take over the game. Also fits well into poke compositions, which could be what NRG goes for, right? They obviously don't have the Alawi in the top lane, but they could still do something with Ziggs and something poking in the top lane if they really wanted to.
And looks like Liquid want to keep playing around this Irelia, though, as they grab that one early once again. Wouldn't be surprised to see Quas play another Jax game, but now supporting it up with a potential Karma mid or Karma support to make sure he's going to be strong and healthy in team fights.
Yeah, so pretty safe choices, I would have to say, for TL so far. NRG could still go with the Jax, but it just honestly wasn't that effective last game. You got about as big of an advantage as you could, and you weren't able to convert it to a win. So I'd expect to see something a little bit different from Quas here. That Evelyn's going to be a placeholder. I'm waiting for the real pick.
Top Evelyn, new OP.
Turns out it's GBM. He's just playing it mid. Oh, they're going to do Jax.
This is going to be Braum alongside it. So yeah, Jax, Braum the pickup here. And they want to play the same top lane matchup. Switching up things in the bot lane a little bit. The Zyra was available for Kiwikid, but decided he died too much to Olaf to want to play it again.
Not wrong.
Yeah.
Olaf is really good against Zyra.
Yeah.
So I like the tanky support. They also need to make sure they have a little bit of tankiness since they've already gone with the ranged jungler. So they can at least think about team fighting when the time comes. Oh boy.
Talking about thinking about team fighting, how about picking up a Sivir for yourselves to make sure your whole team runs real fast? Leaves the Karma as still a flex pick. We don't know if that's mid or support just yet for certain. And they have the option, but now OQ gets to kind of pick a Sivir, who can be a weak laner depending on the matchup, and Twitch is one of the better ones for that, and it will be locked in.
Whoa.
If there's ever a game for OQ to do well, it's this one.
Yeah, and I actually like the Twitch a lot against the Karma Sivir. I think we've actually seen this exact matchup before, earlier on in the year, because when the Sivir and the Karma just speed everyone up to run at you, it's perfect to just be in position for a spray and pray and totally turn the initiation around. The main thing you'll have to watch out for, though, is just Lourlo's Irelia. If he gets ahead or gets flank position, he can shut down Twitch fairly quickly.
Definitely can. They need one more pickup here for their mid laner, and it will be Anivia yet again. So even though Vladimir not on the table this time around, GBM still wants to play this champion. And I'm happy to blind pick Anivia here. Yeah,
and it's just comboing their counter engage. It doesn't actually fit very well with the Jax, so I'd expect a very much 4-1 style again, and NRG's going to hope they don't get in a position where they are stuck in team fights, since the Jax doesn't fit with the rest of the team composition. But the Anivia and the Twitch work very well against the Sivir and the Karma.
And the final pick comes through as Ryze, actually. A champion that we sometimes see banned away and not allowed to be picked by anyone, but this time around, it went unpicked in the first game. This time it got 10th picked in this one, and well, FeniX on one of the more well-respected mid lane champions here. Does have to deal with the CC power of that Anivia, having to play around the wall and slows and everything, but can definitely do it.
Some slight nerfs to Ryze as well, and I know that FeniX actually, when he played Ryze against Anivia pre-nerf, it was back in summer playoffs, I think he struggled a little bit in that game, so I do think Ryze has issues against Anivia. Anivia, if played well, can actually get some kill pressure on Ryze, so FeniX will need a little bit of help from Dardoch to make that post-nerf pick work.
We'll see if he can do it then. Definitely not the easiest of matches, but it's what he wanted to play here, and You can see with the Twitch behind a Braum shield, you figure this is the best time ever to put the carry pants back on, have a good game as OQ, and we'll see if he can do it here and redeem himself from the lackluster first game. Now remember, you at home, keep your fan votes rocking here on Twitter. Grab your phone, grab your computer, grab your keyboard, whatever it is. Hashtag NRG win, hashtag TL win to tell everyone who you support and let us know who's going to be taking down Game 2. Liquid did win the first. They're the favorites, I guess you would say, based on record, but there's certainly a chance for NRG to make the comeback, and it can happen right now. They've got to win 2 straight to pull themselves their second match win here and drag down Liquid to their level. We'll see if they can do it.
I've been casting best of 3s in the North American LCS Phreak for an entire 2.5 weeks.
Wow.
And I can tell you they are not decided based off of Game 1. There is so many times you see a completely different Game 1 and Game 2, and I like best of 3s.
That is a shocking development, chat. That was some of the most deep analysis
This was going to be like a nice little,
from you.
It was going to be this nice little joke we use as we jump into game, but we're paused again.
Okay.
So now it's just awkward. I'm sorry.
Oh, no, it's fine. Yeah, we have the game paused. Santorin is the one who paused it, and then someone without a name reconnected, and then Kiwikid said R, which stands for ready.
Yeah, so hopefully they can get back into the game really quickly. And yeah, I mean, I do like to see OQ's Twitch. The time he did play it this year, they did win, and he got player of the game. 12-3-9 was his scoreline in that matchup. It's also
against Immortals, no less.
It's also not like a super punishing lane playing against Sivir and Karma. Maybe we see a lane swap in this one. It's going to be a lot of strategery, and hopefully, if Dardoch doesn't just completely destroy a lane again, the NRG can actually scale up a little bit.
So I want to non sequitur you because I love reading player chat during the game. I'm glad it's actually off for broadcast because it gets spammy sometimes. But Dardoch writes a very long message saying, "This message confirms Team Liquid Academy's readiness." Since we mentioned earlier, 3/5 of the old TLA squad from back in the day.
Yeah,
Dardoch really believes it.
He also talks so much in pregame lobby. Like
Smithy.
There's a little bit of mind gaming that goes on in the pregame lobby, I have to imagine, because obviously you can just zone it out. No one is ever like super rude to one another, but just like the casual trash talk is interesting sometimes. So some teams just like totally silent, and other teams just spam. When
I used to be a competitive Warcraft 3 player, I would actually you could chat to your team, to all or to observers, and in matches there'd be like a downtime, and I'd start talking to the observers. And be like the people who are watching the game. I'd be like, "Hey, just want you to know this game's going pretty well. I feel good about this one. See you later," and just like then go back and start playing again. I don't think anyone's ever really done that where they've like started narrating their games, but if I see you do it, LCS players, anyone who's watching the broadcast,
you want people to chat you in game.
Yeah, I want to have the interaction here, and I'll talk back to them on stream. They won't hear it until they watch the VODs later.
Interesting,
but they'll know.
You're adding a whole nother layer to the team. You're actually trying to sabotage whoever is willing to distract themselves to talk to you in game.
Maybe if they're dead or something, they could do something friendly.
Yeah, unfortunately, we do have another pause, sound issue this time. But we can talk a little bit more about the specific team compositions this time, because it's still the Jax versus Irelia matchup. The jungle matchup is just a little bit different. So Santorin, again, does have the potential to take the matchup in Quas' favor because he can have a slightly faster jungle path than Dardoch. But the question will be, is it worth it? Because last game, he got the first gank off, technically in a different lane, and because the teleport match in Quas got a huge lead, so like technically that was mission success for Santorin in a small way.
Right.
But as long as OQ's far behind, they don't have that big of a chance in a game, and they need OQ to be ahead. So I'm really curious where Santorin's going to go in this game on Nidalee, and whether he tries to get OQ ahead or Quas.
Right, and I think it matters a lot if it's a lane swap or not. I don't think NRG's 2-on-2 looks very good in the early game. It feels like you're going to get ricocheted on. Karma is generally going to bully more than Braum will. My read on it, as good of a player as I am compared to these guys, I would rather be Liquid in the 2-on-2. So NRG may be looking for a lane swap. Jax is actually one of the, though we probably won't see it, one of the better champions at like surviving under a turret in like a 1-on-3 because of the dodge and everything. That sometimes there's really cheeky things you can do. You can get greedier as the champion and whatnot, and sometimes eke out more of an advantage, which can further like your advantage in being a lane swap.
Yeah, I think actually Jax and Irelia are both incredibly difficult champions to dive.
Yeah.
Jax and Irelia both can do stuns, and they can both jump away to a target. Jax a little bit slipperier because he can jump to a ward, whereas Irelia can just jump to minions and players.
Yeah.
But that will dissuade teams a little bit from pulling off early turret dives, right? Like you're thinking about if you get in a 1v2 or 1v3 situation, how much farm would they actually be able to pick up? And because of these two champions, it will obviously make it harder to full deny them.
Yes, it will. And just to briefly talk about what's going on here, we're, I think, under a minute away from getting ourselves back into the game. Santorin seems like he's back and smiling and looking forward and scooting back in here, but now we're looking at what's going on with Quas, so maybe a bit more going on than we expected, but
at least we
we're
get
roughly
to see
at our
live
ETA.
as it unfolds on our screen.
That's true.
Yeah, we get to see exactly what's happening. Santorin, I'm going to talk a little bit about the Santorin and Dardoch respect for each other. Because it doesn't have too much to do with the game, but it's an interesting trend I've seen. Like, there are certain players who just seem to be on another level in solo queue, and it's always a question of whether or not they can transition that to competitive play. And Santorin and Dardoch have pretty much all of that respect from solo queue because they are both those level of players. Like, for instance, when Santorin was trying out for TSM, one of the things that Reginald told him was that, hey, we need you, if you want to be on the team, you need to show you can be like top of solo queue, so you got to get top 5. Like, he just moved over to the server, so he had to like do a bunch of climbing. He was there in like under a week. Just like no problem shooting up to top 5. And Dardoch is another player who everyone when they played against him in solo queue is like, damn, this guy is really good. Even when he went over to Korea, there are a lot of people who was like, yeah, this guy really knows how to play. And they transition over into competitive in like a different way.
Yeah.
Because when Dardoch came over to competitive, it was almost like one of the smoothest transitions you had seen. He was so enabled to do exactly what he wanted to do.
Right.
And like, he'd just been put in a situation, I think when they came over with Matt, where he was like confident and comfortable enough to kind of be a leader and get what he needs done.
Yeah.
Whereas Santorin's had like a much more difficult path towards that.
Yeah, his first split with TSM was kind of weird. He had a kind of different style going on, and it wasn't nearly as good.
Yeah, gets on a team with a bunch of alphas, can't really play his style, and you watch him in solo queue, it's a totally different player.
Yeah.
So I really want to see if Santorin can eventually kind of bring that solo queue talent into the LCS, because not every player can.
Yeah, so we'll see if he can be that player we know he can be, but for now we do have some more delays, sadly, so we're going to hand it over to our analysts until the pause is resolved.
Thank you very much, Phreak. Yes, unfortunately, we have a slight audio issue on stage, so as we get that worked out, we get some extra time to talk about this Team Liquid NRG matchup. Because we obviously haven't seen any gameplay since they had just loaded into the match when the pause occurred, all we have to talk about in terms of this game is champion select. So let's dive into this one. Obviously, we see the Twitch come out for NRG, so in terms of team fighting, right, that's going to be definitely a little bit scary, but I like to see the Jacks again. I like to see them go back to the Jacks. Even though they didn't win with the split push, I think Quas looked fantastic on it. We'll see if they can make it work this time around.
Yeah, I like the Twitch a lot. I think he only got one game on it before it started pulling bans, and then it eventually dropped when people didn't think he was going to keep playing it. But Oki played a monster Twitch the one time he did get it. And one thing I actually like a lot is Twitch with some kind of split push top, because you can get these really tricky roams off and end up top, and you help pick off somebody. And then, you know, just using that invisibility well, that's really separates like good Twitch players who can play team fights well versus like the best Twitch players like an Imp who was just phenomenal at roaming around the map and generating advantages from his team. So I think that's definitely something to keep an eye on, how well Twitch coordinates with the rest of his team, given that, you know, there might be some language barrier issues.
Right, all that said, on the side of Team Liquid, we see that Irelia priority for Lourlo in the top lane still. That's kind of what gives Quas permission to take that Jax in the second round. But they very much, it seems like Team Liquid is willing to move towards more carry-oriented you know, fighters in the top lane for Lourlo, get them away from those tanks and put some resources into them.
Right, and I mean, we kind of touched on this in the segment before about just you have like a different mentality coming out of your bot lane. Piglet's very dominant. He wants some jungle attention. He wants to smash his opponent, and he's phenomenal at that. And if you put your jungle attention down there, he can basically carry a game for you. But at the same time, the meta is not favored towards those style champions. That's why you see a Sivir picked here, because that's what's strong right now. And just being able to play through the rest of your team versus your team playing through you is something that's very different. I think that's something that Fabbyyy does really well. He's consensus one of the best AD carries in Challenger. He can play the Lucian, play aggressive. We saw that last night, but he can also play the more team style.
And here, I mean, a similar team composition in that they have to run at you to start a fight. We had the Olaf with the Ash Arrow engage, obviously, and Bard for the picks. Here, they're choosing more just speed up. We got Karma and Sivir. We're going to push that Rek'Sai, Irelia, and Ryze into the enemy team. So less of a hard engage, more of a, we're just going to run at your face and hope it works.
I think it's
situation.
a little hard to execute because you can't just like, you know, whip out this arrow, miss, and then be like, all right, well, wait a minute, do it again. Here, you actually have to run through things. If you overextend, you tend to get punished a little harder with these. But I think it really is going to come down to the Jax Twitch on NRG. I think this is a comp that TL is pretty comfortable with. NRG is really what I'm looking for.
All right. Well, yeah, Team Liquid, high execution comp. We'll see if they can pull it off. The players are ready to jump back into games. So we're going to throw it back over to Jatt and Phreak to get us into it. Take it away, guys.
Thank you very much. Yes, we are here, and the game is afoot. Probably actually about 12 of them here in this game. Moving forward as NRG make their way across the map on the blue side this time around, hoping for vengeance from a Game 1 shellacking at the hands of Liquid.
Yeah.
Quote of the day.
I hear Quas. Sorry to give the news. Maybe we want to get a pause. I hear he's having some small problems. Maybe he's deciding to play through it. I love the point on the analyst desk there about how Jax can fit into this team composition as comboing with the split pusher, Twitch plus Jax, instead of just having the Anivia and the Twitch to try and team fight the approaching Team Liquid. Looks like we're solid in the game, though. Problems are good to go.
Seems to be okay. At this point, you would have expected him to pause again.
Yeah, perfect. We're in.
Yeah. One thing I do find interesting, because I really love sort of mastery stuff, is, generally speaking, so first of all, I want to talk about OQ going Warlords Bloodlust both times here.
Exactly.
Warlords is very uncommon on Ezreal and also very uncommon on Twitch, but in both cases, he's picking that one up. It's definitely a better laning mastery if you're just trying to farm and stay alive. And so that's kind of the choice he's making there. But what makes it really, really strange on Twitch is Twitch is both an attack speed-based Hurricane user. So you get a lot of value out of a Hurricane, right? And out of Fervor of Battle, because you're hitting so many targets all the time, stacking it up. It's a significant portion of your damage. You don't have to like build optimal DPS. You just need attack speed to kill things. And OQ is actually still doing Warlord's Bloodlust here. This will give him a lot of lifesteal, of course, hitting a lot of champions, but damage-wise, it's interesting.
Yeah, and I always wonder, as unfortunately I have a pause, Dardoch going to make sure he gets comfortable.
Oh, nice. The JDM cosplay.
Yeah.
Good job. Quick CLG shout out for you.
It is a skill in itself to be able to stay focused during the pause, so hopefully these guys are able to stay relaxed and bounce back. No, but to speak to your mastery point, like, there is a lot of optimizations you can do via runes and mastery choices to better fit your preferences, and I wonder if these players and these teams have guys assigned to these roles or whether they just trust the player to make the right decision. Because I've definitely seen, and you and I who like pay a lot of attention to these things, clearly suboptimal things. Like we've seen players with attack speed and attack damage on the wrong quint/mark because there is a mathematically correct way to do it and an incorrect way to do it. Yeah. And we've seen pros do it the incorrect way on multiple occasions. So this could just be OQ like really just maybe thinking Warlord's Bloodlust is OP. Maybe he's thinking, hey, I'm against double ranged. I need a little bit of extra sustain. I don't care about the damage. I'm Twitch anyway. Or it could just him not understanding the full strength of the abilities. We're not sure. Yeah,
I'd have to go back and like look at his sort of prior history to know what he's normally prioritized here. At least in this one, I can understand wanting to sustain in what would be a rougher matchup here in this case. And on a similar note, actually, Fabbyyy running Fervor. And when Fabbyyy was on the analyst desk for, I forget what it was, but it was a few months ago. He was on the analyst desk.
Yeah, it was for like a challenger or promotion tournament.
Something around that, yeah. And we were, and I was talking to him because it was just after Warlord's Bloodlust got reworked to be insane on AD carries, where it was a bunch of lifesteal and it was just really insane and everyone should be running it. And Fabbyyy was like, no, I just still want Fervor because I want to bully you in lane. I'm like, yeah, but you get so much life from Warlord's Bloodlust, you can't die in lane anymore. And like every single AD carry at that time was running Warlord's Bloodlust. And one champion that kept it even after the nerfs was Sivir, because her attack speed is low, her single target damage isn't too great, she's often bouncing off minions anyway, doesn't get a lot out of Fervor as a champion. Fabbyy's actually running Fervor on Sivir. And almost literally no one runs Fervor on Sivir. So he is like a very high opinion of the mastery, and he like wants to bully you in lane, and yes, Fervor is theoretically more damage if you can make it happen, but he's like the only one who does this.
Yeah, because a lot of times you'd think of Warlords as a laning mastery.
It
Right?
is,
not the Fervor.
in some ways.
If you're snowballing ahead, like that is the way you do the most damage.
Right. Yeah. And if he thinks he will do that, then power to him for making that happen. But
interesting aside about Fabbyyy as well, as this is his first week starting for Liquid in the LCS. The dude is actually like really charismatic off of camera and like really talkative.
Yeah.
And this is not to like throw shade or anything, but like when he actually is on camera, you can tell he's a little soft-spoken sometimes.
Yeah, he gets very nervous.
And I'm curious, like when he can get past that, how good he can be in the LCS. Because it's very important about the stage experience between Fabbyyy and Piglet. We have talked, I saw an interview that Loco Doco did with Skara to actually bring some clarity to like why we're not seeing Piglet this week and we are seeing Fabbyyy, and it's twofold. So Piglet is actually wanting to take a little bit of like a breather. Maybe he was a little bit too stressed, working a little bit too hard, and he's spending some time on TLA. Whereas Fabbyyy, they want to get him stage experience. And I do think it's more important for a guy like him, who definitely seems to be affected by stage jitters, to get comfortable so he can reach his full potential.
Yeah.
If they can get out of this week 2-0, like it actually is win-win-win for those guys.
It really is. And that would be kind of beautiful right now. They've won 3 games in a row with Fabbyyy. He has, I guess, the best game record of any player in North America this split.
Fabby's amazing.
3 games undefeated. He's like the new Keith. Typical Liquid AD carry substitute, can do no wrong.
Yeah, easy. Just go and win. It's like every time Seraph swapped teams, he just free wins.
Right. He got better every time he swapped teams too. It was like on CLG, he didn't live anything close to his potential. I remember I've told the story before, but Monte Cristo said that back when he was coaching CLG, that Seraph was like top 5 best top laners in the world. He's like, this guy is insane. And he would like be 2-0 in a game and lose his lane matchup, as though he's like anyone else against Ray, basically right now in NA. And then he just gets better and better and better. And now Envy like nearly beat Immortals. Both those games are super close. Envy could have been 5-0 at the end of this week. They almost were. They could still be 5-1 at the end of the week. And he just keeps getting better and better teammates and getting better himself. Either way, though, we're not talking about Envy. We are talking about Fabbyyy and the rest of Liquid. And I think Fabbyyy has gotten a lot better in game 1 of this series from what he was doing last night. And if he can continue to get more calm, I think he can be an excellent, excellent AD carry.
Absolutely. Able to fill a lot of different roles, but we're obviously in the game here, and we need to pay attention to exactly where these teams show their priority. Last game, Quas got way ahead of Lourlo in the split push, but wasn't able to make anything happen. Also, OQ and Kiwikid got destroyed by Dardoch's ganks and the ranged initiation from Fabbyyy and Matt on Ashe and Bard. This game, though, they're going to have to run right at them. They can't just stun them from long range. So really interested to see this lane, how they're able to match up, and also the jungle pathing, where the ganks are prioritized.
Well, early push right now for NRG, actually, and Kiwikid smartly saves one charge of the Relic Shield so he can pop a melee minion on the next wave, as well as deliver over some sustain if he needs it. NRG should be getting level 2 first, and that could mean quite a bit. There's the one minion executed, and now it's how much damage can the Q do from Sivir, because it's going to be 3 melee minions on either side to knock that one down. It'll actually be pretty close to equal. And that minion's going to die in a second, and Liquid would hit level 2. So sadly, we do once again have a pause. And at this point, we have Dardoch applauding, and Lourlo's happy as well. And the audience also.
Yeah, I mean, this has got to be frustrating for these teams, obviously. Like, Team Liquid seem to be taking it well. All the issues have been on the NRG side, and they're consistent audio issues. So, like, there's nothing you can do about this from Team Liquid side. And for NRG side, like, there's not much they can do about it either. So they have to be getting frustrated about how the issues still aren't being fixed. And Team Liquid obviously wants to play the game. And this is when your mental fortitude comes in really strong. Being able to keep focused on the game despite really the adversity that unfortunately is happening to them right now.
Yeah, I'm not sure quite what it was last time around. I think it was still audio. We had a different audio tech come in to help look at the issues. Sadly, it's still happening. At the very least, although the teams aren't allowed to, my understanding, at least at this stage, is talk amongst a team, within a team, on voice chat, they can still talk to each other in all chat. So if you want to kind of stay loose, keep your fingers warm, well, sure. I mean, we're seeing them talk to each other.
I wonder what the actual rules are on that. I would need to double check, because they're not supposed to communicate strategically during a pause.
Yeah.
So that would mean that they wouldn't be able to chat in game during a pause either. But there's like a little bit of...
Right. So tinfoil hat, you ready? So the rule to my understanding is you're not supposed to be able to chat at all, in the thought that maybe you like created coded messages or something, right? And you're like, yeah, when I say Kipo, it means that I'm getting ganked bot lane. But if you're chatting in all chat, you can still use the hidden cipher code.
Yeah, so like when Santorin says feels bad, man, he really means like jungler just finished red, he's about to be top. is the way I understand
That's the code. I doubt any team put in this practice.
No, I don't think so either.
But now we've set the conspiracy theory afoot, so uh-oh. Enemy teams hate him.
Yeah, figured out the code.
The code they don't want you to know about. Well, Santorin taking down the scuttle. Shouldn't be too hard for him. 100 XP to go into his pocket, and 70 gold as well. Now back down to the bottom side of the map. He's got plenty of jungle camps to kill. First Drake looks like it was Infernal. You can see the minimap icon down there. And probably won't be taken for a while, with the top laners being the ones over there. Mid-lane matchup so far is equal, though GBM theoretically is behind because there's more minions for FeniX to kill.
The lane is bouncing back towards FeniX, so that actually creates a relatively dangerous point in the lane for GBM, because this 330 mark is where if a jungler did want to do a fast clear into double buff gank, they would be able to about right now. For Rek'Sai as well, he can just do the 3 camp early gank since he doesn't really need blue buff, and gets level 3 off of one side of the jungle. So every laner does have to be a little bit careful right now, unless they have great ward coverage.
And they do, so we're going to see what these junglers are up to. Santorin actually
that's
looking to fight for the buff, and the hunt mark does give vision as well as trinket ward, and Dardoch says, no, that's going to be my blue buff, thank you. And he won't be able to give it over to FeniX, though. He usually likes to do this, but will not be the case here. Santorin back to his red buff.
So I actually did really like what Santorin did there in trying to stop Dardoch from this. He was expecting potentially an early gank from Dardoch, since he doesn't necessarily prioritize blue buff, and he was looking to steal it right away. But Dardoch, in his looked to be slightly modified jungle path because he hit level 4 so early, was still able to make it to blue buff very quickly. So I think well played by both junglers there.
Yeah, I tend to agree. We'll see what happens now on this side of the map once again as they trade blows back and forth. And Exhaust early on to Oak. You're looking for a lot of damage, but Kiwikid to block some of it. And still the Mantra Q comes around. Matt losing health, but he won't quite get stunned. Yes, he will. Just kidding. Kiwikid smacks him with a door.
Yeah, Matt managed to get his Mantra Q around the side of Kiwikid's shield and land a good amount of harass. That's when the Warlord's Blood Oath will come in, but...
Uh-oh, Lourlo can't flash away from the Javelin. He's certain to go down. No, he's not actually. Dardoch there to back him up in time. Santorin didn't have the damage.
There's the ganks and the counter ganks that we were talking about. Dardoch able to stop the kill from happening, but isn't able to save Lourlo, so to speak. Lourlo's still going to have to recall, and the wave isn't in a great spot. Love how Dardoch is trying to make the go into the turret.
Stun flash to chase him down, and now a TP coming in from Lourlo to rejoin his own lane. And now another attempt onto Fabbyyy, though. They're just not done fighting back and forth. Exhaust is on. Spell shield kind of available. Now the root onto OQ. That should actually hit him. And Kiwikid doesn't have the door up, so OQ has to burn his summon heal to stay alive.
Whoa.
Trading back and forth.
Yeah, way too aggressive by Kiwikid right there. Jumping in when they don't even have the health advantage against Matt and Fabbyyy, burning Exhaust, and then also having to get the heal from Oki right there. So that actually tilts the lane in Matt and Fabbyy's favor. I do want to talk very quickly about the gank that just happened in this lane, though, between Lourlo and Quas, because Dardoch was really trying to save Lourlo there by not letting the lane freeze. So he got super aggressive to try and push into the turret, and that prompted Santorin to then try and kill him off of it. But I do have to kind of say mission successful for Dardoch, even though he had to burn the flash, because he allowed Lourlo to not get starved out of that lane.
And you can see that Quas had to burn his
guys.
teleport. Oh, man, yep, they spot each other pretty much. Dardoch with
Going forward anyway.
Javelin
Right
up, and now the teleport coming in as well from FeniX this time around, so a mirror TP for GBM. They're all there, but does Anivia want to be on top of that team? He does not, so he has to cancel, which now means, yeah, Kiwikid is alone. He's going to get popped, and there's first blood coming through to FeniX in the mid lane on the Ryze.
Really good mind games going on here, but it's the mechanical error that ends up costing energy here, because no matter if Santorin, he was actually there before Dardoch, but because OQ and Kiwikid burned both of their defensive summoners while trying to make an aggressive play in the lane, it opened them up to be dove right there. So really it's just on Kiwikid, I feel like, that extension of a play, and it's good job by Team Liquid for getting the numbers there and punish.
Yeah, and that's going to be a lot of stuff here that feels, I think, quite good for the Liquid lineup. It's going to be a nice BF sort of recall for Fabbyyy up against the slightly inferior serrated Dirk for OQ's Twitch. And yeah, I think you got to feel real good if you're Liquid here. FeniX not really missing too much. Still the minion farm basically equivalent here. Plus the first blood's got to feel good.
Definitely. Team Liquid would hope to just be able to take over this game, but you do have to always be careful. Twitch and Anivia can pull off some deadly combinations.
They can. So you've always got to worry about what the team fights could be, but it could just be the same as last time where, yeah, theoretically Jax is really scary, and yeah, theoretically the peel is really good, but Liquid just playing too well in the early to mid game. They're trying it again right now. Dardoch going for the knockup. They look for OQ, and he's still going to get revealed. He will turn invisible soon enough, but not quickly, actually, as Dardoch gets himself another kill in this poor energy bot lane, just kind of getting destroyed.
Yeah, Dardoch is so honed in right now. He's been able to predict where Santorin would be. He avoided the counter jungling early. He matched the ganks when he had to, and now he's at it again, shutting down OQ and Kiwikid really harshly right there. Beautiful gank over the wall to catch the speed for Matt, and a nice kill secure knowing they had burned the summoner spell in the previous engagement.
And you're seeing this turret take a lot of punishment as well. Plenty of attack damage on Fabbyy's Sivir. Matt not a slouch either. And they won't quite knock the turret down this wave. Maybe in the next one if they want to clear this one fast enough. Gotta wait for him to group back up before the Rek'Sai comes through. And there's the Q. But Fabbyyy low on mana will probably want to recall after this wave. And yep, he will leave. Just kidding. Dardoch, once again, somewhere to be here with Lourlo to kill off Quas. Dardoch is actually everywhere, pulls the aggro, slow comes in, the dodge comes across. That's actually going to be a lot of damage. Dardoch might die for this, and in fact, he will go down. It's a trade, but at least Quas got a kill.
Yeah, Dardoch very nearly gets the dangerous game level up to survive that one. And actually, Santorin was sitting in mid lane around a minion wave, so like Dardoch is one step ahead of him here, but getting that trade kill back is fairly critical. The big thing is, though, is the minion wave that gets lost to that turret. Lourlo now experience-wise ahead, as well as being able to pick up a kill.
Rough stuff now. Quas at least does have teleport up, so he can get back down to that bottom lane, but Lourlo got to still push in most of that wave. He gets to force the sort of defensive teleport, which means it'll be the summoner advantage if Lourlo wants to keep it, and it looks like he's walking back to lane, so he will. Even more good things here for Liquid.
Yeah, definitely. They're very close to getting a lot of these turrets down, too. Man, that poke. It's kind of why we were thinking we might see a lane swap, because the Karma Sivir can bully out Twitch a little bit early, unless Twitch and Braum could get early kills. But then we saw OQ go Warlord's Bloodlust, so they're not going to have the early lane pressure.
He wants to have the sustain with it, right? But he's still getting pushed out too hard by all Matt's poke. Like,
Yeah.
I get it if you're forced to 2-on-2, surviving lane is more important than optimal DPS in lane, but OQ's kind of getting the worst of both worlds, where he's getting pushed out regardless and will have less damage. Is a minor point to this game, but maybe he turns it around later. But Liquid, 2,000 gold up, winning basically everywhere. I'm looking at the players in this game, and every single one has more gold except for Santorin is slightly outfarmed.
Yeah, they've been able to pick up kills when necessary. Obviously, Nidalee farms so fast. That's how he's trying to keep pace with Dardoch's ganking. But even now, I mean, Dardoch's sitting in the jungle of NRG. So I agree, Team Liquid looking to snowball every lane a little bit here.
Well, so far, so good. Liquid doing wonderfully. Okay, so top lane outer turret is down, and they're going to start moving their people around the map. Fabbyyy and Matt have recalled. They've headed down to the bot side. They will take over that lane from Lourlo. And now it gets a bit more interesting because we might see 2v1 matchups. OQ currently is freezing the lane, and I think he needs to, actually. But now it's Liquid playing kind of 5v4, but with only 2 lanes of farm available. So they've got to kind of make something happen. Maybe it's Drake, maybe it's a turret, as OQ scales back up.
I think it's Drake or it's a dive onto bottom side. It's too hard to dive Anivia because of the wave clear, but Jax doesn't have good wave clear at this stage in the game, so that's the natural move.
Lourlo takes aggro. Santorin is here. Exhaust burn, and now Matt pulls aggro, and the dodge doesn't mean too much. You're going to go right back in, looking for the stun to Lourlo. Javelin comes across, Fabbyyy blocks it out, and they jump back to a minion, get away. But a beautiful wall comes out from GBM. FeniX are turning it back in, and look at that, forcing the flash out of GBM's Anivia. And it's going to be enough damage to knock down the turret. A nice attempted defense there. Lourlo looking for the stun, can't quite land it.
Deep.
Looking for it, but not finding it. Dardoch taking plenty of punishment, but they deny all the farm out of that turret. The building will fall down. Liquid do get that dive to be at least a little bit successful, but OQ at least got the farm in the top lane.
It's the decisiveness that matters for Team Liquid. And this is also an example of why teams very rarely freeze minion waves and lane swaps anymore. Because teams are very good about seeing exactly the lane that can't push the minion wave back, and they just take that turret while the lane is being frozen. So now...
Oh
yes! My goodness!
Santorin with the downtown javelin.
That's huge. That is absolutely huge. Because they'd already given up 2 turrets. They'd lost the map pressure, but it was also going to be the Dragon to kind of add insult to injury. Now at least NRG has a little bit more of an excuse to scale, but they're still going to be in danger of losing even more turrets the longer they try and freeze that wave.
And the thing is, Santorin was already really good at landing smites. He didn't even need smite to steal that. And by the way, I believe Dardoch's smite was up. It was just a miscue by him, but still really nicely done.
Someone's got to block that spear. Yeah, they had just won a team fight pretty handily despite not getting kills, and they kind of pushed everyone back. So either you got to have FeniX standing at the wall looking to burst Santorin down if he gets close, or you just have to kind of all mob around the Dragon to block spears. Like Nidalee trying to steal with spears, nothing new. It's just a mistake by Team Liquid as well as good timing by Santorin.
All right, well, you got to feel good then. NRG getting glimmers of hope. And it's I don't know, like, for their sake, I want to see them do well. There's so many good players in this team, so many people to sort of fall in love with and really enjoy watching them play, but it just never really clicks. It's funny because, like, every single split, it's like, oh man, this new roster coming together. Yeah, Altec's super sick, like, you know, GBM's obviously amazing, and, you know, this team should be ridiculous, and then, well, NRG failed out of the quarterfinals getting 3-0'd by Liquid. It's like, okay, well, fine. New roster, OQ super sick, and you've got Quas back. Oh, man, and Santorin, he can be amazing, and Kiwikid, everyone loves him. So, like, all right.
Gotta find the time to gel together.
Yeah.
And it's interesting because Team Liquid is playing essentially a new roster this season too. So, like, that excuse is out the window here for NRG. They've just been getting a little bit outplayed this game, but obviously it's a pretty long season. We're still in week 3. And I think what you're saying about, like, wanting to see a team do well, I can say that about pretty much every team in the LCS this year.
Yeah,
like,
I agree.
There's going to be a lot of a lot of players that I'll be sad to not see in the playoffs.
Yeah, and especially this split, I think there's finally like a really hard time figuring out who the good playoff teams are. I think there's like a really sort of obvious top 4 right now, where it's like, man, Envy and Immortals and TSM and C9 all look really, really, really good.
Gotta think COD's gonna be back there though.
And you like, but that's the thing is like, Liquid has to get 4th, and like COG has to make it back in, and it's like,
that's a myth. Liquid doesn't have to get 4th.
I know. They've gotten 3rd several times, and they've gotten less than 4th several times as well. But, you know, playing to the memes, Jatt.
It fits the storyline.
It does.
All right, this game in particular, though, Dardoch trying to get a little greedy. They need to keep the pressure on this NRG team because they're obviously going to be trying to stand back and scale with GBM, OQ, and Quas. The problem is, though, if Quas doesn't have any priority in his lane, they're not going to be able to set up any tricks with Twitch. In
a 1v2, I actually could almost see him just going for the ult there and like just trying to get Kiwikid to jump in and ult that one, but didn't want to quite go in. Now Lourlo gets the red buff away from Santorin and just slaughters him in his own jungle. One more hit will do it. Santorin, no, he bounces away just barely.
Oh,
and
the wall makes him!
Oh, the perfect wall from GBM. Oh, man.
Just millimeters away from being able to get that last auto attack off was Lourlo, when it looked like a spectacular play to really take complete control of the map, because he would have had the red buff and he would have then been able to start dueling the Jacks, but he can't quite get it. GBM collapses for a beautiful kill, then he gets the red buff, and that's exactly the type of thing. The Dragon Steal as well as that turnaround kill are 2 big plays that could keep energy in this game.
Man. All right, we can watch that again, and then I'll say my silly joke.
So this was super slick. He Blade Surge onto the red buff to steal it, and then can reset to follow Santorin after his first leap, but he can't quite finish it. And he's basically inside the wall there. So he's either stuck between the wall and the actual wall.
I think sometimes you can be stuck inside that wall.
Every once in a while in every wall, there's just nowhere the game can move you. So you're just there to accept your fate.
So my silly joke for this one, though it's too late, is he playing Irelia or playing Gnar? Because he was trapped in that ice for millennia. Because Gnar was a Yordle trapped in ice in his lore. It would have been fun. It would be funnier if it was timely, but like, you know, there was analysis to be done. So
millennia, like it was 2 seconds. That's where it kind of falls apart.
Hyperbole is a key factor in humor. Jatt, I don't know if you know this.
Yeah, that was the worst joke I have ever heard. I'm kidding. It was pretty close,
good.
Though.
That's good. Was that sarcasm, by the way? I couldn't tell.
Yeah, who knows?
Well,
see it the next time you watch it.
Okay. Quas on the Jacks. Once again, go over the same build, though. Trinity Force into what looks like Blade of the Ruined King.
Yeah.
This time around, not a 2,000 gold lead over someone, actually down about 80 underneath Lourlo. They're close, though. They have similar items, and we'll see if Quas can have that same kind of pressure this time around.
Gold definitely quite close, and I mean, the fact that they have the Infernal Drake makes you think like maybe they'd consider a team fight. Trinity Force Jax, if he can teleport in at the right time, and if Exhaust can get burnt on someone else, could be very effective in a team fight. But really, both these top laners are going to be at the mercy of the support's Exhaust, because that's pretty much the only person they should be using it on.
Maybe the marksman if they start scaling up, but right now it's definitely the Jax and Irelia.
Yeah.
See if it changes over time.
If OQ opens up too close to Matt, he's going to get Exhaust right away.
Definitely getting exhausted, because Switch is really scary if he's in range ever. Yoma's Ghostblade done on him, so maybe he's got the items he needs to fight for this. GBM also actually dangerously low right now. He is injured and recalling right as the second Infernal Drake spawns.
GBM has teleport, though, so they can technically double TP this if they want.
Going for the play. Braum ulti across. They will peel off and go for this fight instead. Quas right in the front lines. Jumps out and goes back out into Matt. Tries to pop him up and can't quite kill him off now. Dragon still attacking Lourlo, who gets stunned up by GBM. He flashes out as well. Now, but the top right side of the fight still happening as well. Santorin doing some damage, but looks like Liquid will back off and cede the power to energy. And so look at that, 2 Drakes in a row. Woo! Beautifully done. Santorin gets that one as well.
Super nice, and I love the way OQ played that team fight on Twitch. He opened up, and yes, he got the exhaust, but it was when Team Liquid wasn't able to capitalize back in. So that meant when Quas joined the fight, he was a huge threat because there was no exhaust to stop him once he jumped straight on top of Matt's Karma and burned the flash away from that as well. So Energy was able to win that fight because of their double TP in, and the double Infernal Drake is gonna hurt later.
It definitely will, and I know every pro loves Infernal Drake, so here you go, guys. Here's a bunch of ability power and attack damage to all of your members, and everyone but Kiwikid benefits. Sorry, Kiwikid. This is your worst Drake.
He will have more attack damage and ability power too, Phreak.
Great. Well, I don't know about ability power. He has 0.
He has. We'll
60% of 0.
We'll multiply that 0.
All right, if he ever gets himself a Baron buff, instead of 40 AP, it'll be 40 plus 16% of that, which is another number.
You are correct.
I'm trying to do the math in my head.
It's at 6.4.
I was going to say it'd be 64, but my brain told me it wasn't going to be that.
6.4 on top of the 40.
Yeah, because it'd be, yeah.
Because it's 12. It's 1.2 per 10.
Yeah, so I'm pretty sure it's that.
6.8.
No, because it should be a
Oh, 16%.
16%. Yeah, because it's 4 times 4 times 4 times 4 times 10, etc. And it probably ends up at 64.
When we do math on stream, we lose like half of our viewers.
Yeah.
Especially when we do it as bad as we just did. So
Yeah.
Thank you for everyone who stuck around.
We've all embarrassed ourselves, and normally I just hit the Windows key and type calc, press enter, and start doing things. I didn't think of that.
No.
Oh well. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah. The gold lead is 1,300.
Yes, it is.
Well.
It's probably 1337. We just don't have enough significant digits.
I understand your reference.
Thanks.
The actual leader of the game, though, is really hard to define because there's a lot of standing gold on the map, technically, with all the turrets being alive, with a loss in map pressure for NRG. But then when you factor in all the stat gains they're going to be getting, like I'd imagine if you just calculated the value their items are giving them, NRG might even have the gold lead. Oh, boy.
Close one there. Yeah, in real stats, right? If everyone bought all their things, you'd be like, oh, actually, energy looking pretty good. And I agree with you. It's very likely here. 1,300 gold lead, not quite very much, honestly. We'll see now as Quas wears his red buff proudly, and Lourlo, well, he's got the Rift Herald at least, but I don't know. I'd almost take red buff in this situation here.
Yeah, because the Rift Herald buff, I believe, is 5% damage reduction.
Yeah.
And it's going to be obviously the corruption stacks right at the very start. So it's good, but I've still seen a Jax with the red buff maybe kind of overpowers that 5% damage.
Right. Red buff gives you health regen when you're out of combat. It gives you bonus damage on hit, which will outpace corruption pretty quickly. And he's got bonus attack damage and ability power thanks to the stuff he's got. Now it's a grand total of 12 AP thanks to the fact that Triforce doesn't really give ability power anymore, but the attack damage at least means something. And as he goes towards Ruin King, the red buff on hit damage increases thanks to attack speed, and now we get to see lane assignments. So, Lourlo apparently can't do too well in this matchup, so they send FeniX over to do it, and Dardoch waiting in the wings to try to
this could be really sneaky.
find the 2-on-1 against Quas.
Good ward by Quas, because basically he knows he would probably be able to solo FeniX at this point if he just jumped in, ulted, and then straight up duel. They could be close, obviously FeniX is pretty strong, but he knows that if he jumps for that and he gets ganked, he would definitely lose.
And a really nice second ward as well. You saw him put that down over the wall up there above the Krugs. And that's to look at the other likely gank route that Dardoch takes if you're on the left-hand side. And it means that Quas should almost definitely be safe on a turret. Then he pulls Kiwikid down to drop some wards as well. So really, Quas should be able to farm reasonably well.
Yeah.
And NRG able to stall this game out quite nicely.
And if we're comparing it to Game 1, there are things that are much more fortunate for NRG this game. Team Liquid doesn't have the Ash Bar to create initiations from anywhere, so the threat of team fights is much lower for NRG while they're trying to stall. And they've actually been able to get 2 Drakes. That's really the biggest thing, because as they continue to scale towards 40 minutes, they're going to have that Drake threat, which gives them better team fighting and then a more powerful Elder Drake.
And he's going to nice wall on the Dardoch. He jumps over afterwards anyway. I just want to point out, by the way, GBM actually is maxing Crystallized second. He's maxing his wall of second, so he's got that one already capped off. His Flash Frost, the slow-moving skill shot Q, just on 2 points right now. He left that one for last. But it gives GBM a ton of control against a team that has to honestly walk in and be short range. There are no long-range champions in Liquid. Sivir's short for AD carry, Ryze short for a mid laner.
I agree. It's going to be very difficult for Team Liquid to siege this one, which is just going to make NRG more likely to try and draw this one out till 40 or 50 minutes when you got a 6-item Twitch and 6-item Anivia. Team Liquid have to be very creative in order to come back from that, because even if they do force fights around objectives, they're going to be down 2 Infernal Drakes, and they don't have a substantial gold lead like they did in the first match.
So difficult road ahead then for Liquid. At least they're controlling map vision for the most part. They, in a way, they almost had rights to the 2 dragons. The first one was an unfortunate steal, unlucky, but happens, as Kiwikid says. And the second one was just a good turnaround team fight by NRG to collapse in time. But Liquid, theoretically, like you can see, all 3 lanes are pushed first by them, and it's even my favorite build at Static Shift Sivir, so the minions basically instant die to Ricochet. And so all of NRG are playing reactive to what's going on. Drake's up in 15 seconds. Liquid can kind of play the neutral objectives as a way to force their will, even if they can't start fights always.
Yeah.
FeniX, right, puts Quas under his turret and has chipped him down.
Yeah, and I'm really curious about what's going to happen in this lane. Like, if Quas, currently he doesn't have much magic resist, so I don't think he really wants to take on FeniX, but that's an interesting choice of who to match the Jax with.
Kiwikid takes a heal, though he's going to be okay for now. Santorin giving him a little bit of something. Looks like he's actually not going for a build we had seen some Nidalees do, which was the Athene's Unholy Grail to add to the healing power. Quas's going to root it up, a little bit of damage.
Go in.
And he's going to land the stun on a FeniX, and here comes OQ as
That's
well.
the play.
So there's the 2-on-1. FeniX flashes, but there's the flash to follow. Now a teleport coming into the flank. FeniX will drop down, and the teleport canceled by Lourlo. They finally made it happen. NRG gets something offensive to happen, but now on the other side of the map, it's going to be Dardoch stuck off against the wall. Not taking much damage, though. There was many resources committed to the bot side of the map. It was a 4v3 over there. And NRG back out. It does mean that mid lane gets hit a little bit, but not enough to matter.
Yeah, exactly the play they were talking about on the analyst desk during the pause of what you can do with the split push Jax and a Twitch. He sneaks in through the bottom. Yes, he had to burn flash, but really FeniX could just not run away fast enough after burning flash of his own. It allows Quas to kind of unleash in the split pushing battle. Makes it even harder for Team Liquid to stall out.
Yep, and Fabbyyy taking plenty of punishment here. NRG actually had the choice of going for Cloud Drake right now. They knocked down bot outer turret. And again, with Rek'Sai already having burned the ulti and Irelia being spotted on the top without teleport, they had the chance to play for this Dragon. In fact, they will. They send only Santorin to do it. So actually very smart use of resources. If I was shot calling NRG, I wouldn't have made it this cleanly. So nice of them to know exactly their limits, get some turret damage, and have only Santorin take it down. 3 Drakes to NRG.
Yeah, and now the game is at this really interesting break point because Team Liquid before was thinking, man, we really need to break this turtle that NRG is doing because we need to take advantage of our lead. They're losing now.
Yeah.
But they still have some map control assets to play with. So they can't just barrel into NRG because NRG is actually already winning. It's just going to be a matter of, like, how will NRG get the map control back? And will Team Liquid be able to retake the lead while that's happening?
Kiwikid's in a real dangerous spot. Gets a big ultimate on Ford. It's enough to get away, actually. Sadly for GBM, the Crystallize was used defensively. I think it could have sectioned off one of the Liquid members and forced a flash out. That did not happen, though, and it's either way just a disengage on all sides. Kiwikid did burn his flash as part of this, so that is a summoner lost by the NRG support. Liquid theoretically have an advantage because of this one.
Absolutely. The 2-item power spike for Twitch right now is actually really strong. It's the mid-game power spike on Twitch. Like, 6-item Twitch is great, but like the 2-item Twitch with Ghostblade Hurricane is maybe the most relatively powerful Twitch you're going to get.
Yeah, it's a really expunged-focused build. Look at the damage down in the mid lane. It's actually forcing a flash out of Fabbyyy, who couldn't wave clear enough, and the turret is gone. OQ pops the Youmuu's and the Rat-a-tat-tat ultimate to knock it down faster, and NRG have finally tied up the turret score. In a minute, they knocked down 2.
Yeah, absolutely. They're moving faster, they're doing more damage, and soon they will regen if they can control the 4th Drake when it comes up. Everything is kind of switching back to NRG's favor after what was a very dominating early game by Dardoch, where he was able to catch Santorin, or basically match him everywhere he would go and then still get successful ganks off. But really, OQ has been able to persevere after that early trouble, and Team Liquid still trying to make aggressive calls. Team Liquid does not like to lose slowly.
There is no vision right now for NRG.
So they're going for
face check into this one. 6,000 health left on Baron, but careful because Santorin's really good at securing objectives. The wall almost blocks him into the Baron pit. It would have been beautiful. It could have done
Cancel
that.
teleport.
And now FeniX very, very low. And Naka comes in. They want GBM. Doesn't quite get egg, but they do knock down Kiwikid, who was still missing his ultimate, but he never popped exhaust during the fight. It was up, and he didn't press it. And now OQ very much on the wrong side. There's the jump in. There's the slow. That's going to be the kill easily. 2 picked up for Liquid. A great play right there.
Yeah, and the turn from Team Liquid when they realized the teleport had been canceled by Quas was instantaneous as they went to chase them down. But you can also understand why Quas would cancel the teleport, because he knew that he'd be able to get this push almost regardless of the outcome. This is likely going to be the Baron, but we shall see. It's an inhibitor for sure.
2 turrets and an inhibitor for 2 kills plus something. Liquid once again making the play. Santorin is around, but Lourlo has TP'd down, and it's his job to zone out Santorin. He will do so pretty cleanly. Look at the damage output there. Nidalee cannot be part of this, so it will be a secure Baron Nashor. 2 turrets and an inhibitor, maybe, and more for Baron and something else.
Yeah, when the Baron goes down, the recalls come back super quick, and Quas does turn back in time. But that is a fascinating trade, right?
Yeah.
The gold is actually still very close, and now the inhibitor has been broken by the split pusher. But the Baron is in the hands of Team Liquid, so maybe they can try and pull another aggressive move while they have the Baron being up. That type of call was all initiated by Team Liquid, and it speaks to one of their mottos of just like not losing slowly. So they knew they had to make a very bold play. They did so, and they weren't punished for it extremely hard, but I also can't say they definitively won out.
They definitely didn't, so now it's up to how well you can play these buffs. The Baron actually going to last almost as long as the inhibitor death in the first place, as though it's dead for 5 minutes. Doesn't spawn supers for that entire time. And now you can see the wave clear of GVM. Even with Baron-empowered minions, he keeps that one alive. Again, Liquid don't have a lot of good turret attacking tools. OQ could at least pop ult for himself, but Fabbyyy is like 450 range. Like, that's not exactly easy to make that stuff go down.
Yeah. Neither one of these teams actually have great turret taking. I would say NRG's is better because they can zone people off with the Anivia wall and also the Rat-a-tat from Twitch. Like, they just use their abilities aggressively on the turret, and Team Liquid kind of has to back off.
Yes.
Whereas Team Liquid just has the move speed they can use, and that's not nearly as effective when trying to kill people at a stationary target.
That's true. Turrets don't run away. Matt, though, trying to do that himself. Very low in health. Santorin does not land the Javelin thanks to some shields coming out of the squad, and he will walk away without the poison knocking him down, but that does mean Matt will have to recall. He'll be off the rift for about 10 seconds till he comes back with this one. FeniX has been sent on split push duty to kind of knock down all the super minions, and the fact that he's been able to knock them down past the river means he's got probably a good 45 seconds till it threatens the base again.
Yeah.
Gives time for Liquid to work with.
Definitely good amount of time to push, but with the Anivia and the Twitch in the side lanes, there's not much they can pull off. Like, we really haven't seen Team Liquid utilize the Sivir move speed and the Karma move speed to like make some good map rotations and get kills.
Yeah, they just kind of get shut down. There's a lot of, you're coming at me, no. Anivia wall, Anivia ult, Braum ult. Okay, Sivir can spell shield, what about the rest of them? And it's just, it seems to have been enough, but this time around, Liquid do whittle down their opponents enough to knock down that turret. There's their third turret of the game, looking for the engage right now, and suddenly GVM, yes, he is alone, knocked up, no Glacial Storm available, couple more attacks, so do have a Fabbyyy getting destroyed under the turret, gets a couple of combos onto his face, and now Kiwikid can buy some time as well. Quas is on there, he's gonna find Matt for a bit more. FeniX drops down, the Ryze stuck under the turret.
Oh, they can get a lot off this.
Quas has already picked up a second. Matt's gonna land the root, puts on the shield, tries to run away. Another stun, not quite gonna land. Nice knock up by Jarda, but gets slowed down by the Ruin King, which means that might be a kill, but he jumps over the wall, gets away from the pillar, or sorry, through his tunnels, and now it's on a Dardoch still as Santorin jumps to the wall, looks for one more with the pounce, with the takedown, with the kill. OQ knocks him out, and it's gonna be 3 for NRG.
And they actually want to win here. These are pretty long death timers. They have super minions there, 2 of them, and the majority of the damage for Team Liquid is gone. I think that's game.
20 seconds on Sivir, 2 versus 5. Here comes the game-winning play. NRG to tie this series. Quas in the front line. Lourlo taking some of the damage. He's going to be dropped down rapidly. Flash the way stays alive, but the turrets are already dead. On to the next as they go, and NRG with a great comeback victory. A wonderful mid-game, and that Game 2 win is through.
And a big mistake at 32 minutes by Team Liquid when trying to make a play in the mid lane. Just turns around and loses them the game. And that'll even this series 1-1. But overall, I'll say that NRG absorbed some punches early and then stalled out much more effectively than they did in Game 1 to send this series to make it Game 3.
Yeah, and RIP fantasy points, by the way. 12 total kills in this game. Liquid, as you had mentioned, was in control for the early game, and NRG held the punches, right? It was a Muhammad Ali thing, like just I'll wear you out until you run out of energy, and then I'll come back at you.
You're trying to say they rope-a-doped Team Liquid?
It kind of felt like it.
A little bit.
We're doing some sports metaphors here, right? If you're
saying
taking punches.
All right, I actually kind of agree with that because every big play that NRG made was off of Team Liquid trying to do something. So Team Liquid like exhausted all their playmaking until past the point where they're actually losing the game and needed to play defensive.
And it felt like they got a bit desperate.
Yeah, and just kept going back in. I really want to see either here or on the analyst desk like that last play again because like it turned around so disastrously.
They only got, I think, 3 people in range, right? Again, Liquid's short-range team. Crystallized blocked off 2. It's like only the Rek'Sai and Irelia hitting this Anivia who eggs anyway, and then surprise, we're all here. Twitch kills everyone. So a beautiful game by NRG, a great comeback, and a good win means we will have a Game 3, but first